cheapest complete four-wheeler I could find on Facebook Marketplace. Now I'm going to be fixing it up. It's got a lot of problems. It's pretty ugly. So I'm going to make a little like 2, 3, maybe 4-part video about fixing it up. First and foremost, the engine's broken. When I bought it, the kid told me he thought it just needed a piston. Or I guess before I bought it, when I was talking to him on Messenger. But when I got there, the engine was actually stuck. It wouldn't crank over, turn over. So soon as I got it home, I pulled the jug off and found that the problem with the engine was that the bearings come apart for the piston rod, and you can see where it's been hitting the bottom of the case, and I can see in there that that bearing's all broke up. So that's the actual problem, but the piston is pretty junk. I mean, the top one is stuck. You can see that's the gap right there, and it's all stuck and it's pretty chewed up, so definitely needs a new one of those as well. Here's the jug, and all of the cooling fins are snapped off of it. The inside of it though doesn't look horrible. Nothing really wrong with that. The cylinder head. So yeah, that's the main problem, which is a little unfortunate because I thought I was going to get lucky and just be able to get a new piston and jug, because that'd be pretty easy and not very expensive to get this thing going again, but it's not the case. So the brakes, the back ones do work kinda. You got to pump them up first before they start working, and the reservoir, I assume, is supposed to be bolted up right here, but it's just been hanging. Doesn't look like there's much pad left on that caliper. The axle's bent. I don't know if you can see. It's got a pretty good bend to it on that side. What else is wrong with it? Front brakes don't work. They grab a little, but I got that fully adjusted out, and somebody has already fully adjusted that thing. So I assume those are drum brakes and they just need some new shoes, hopefully. Frame's actually tweaked. I didn't notice this until I was looking at it after. But if you can see right there, it's got a kink in the frame, and it's missing that. I believe I believe it had a bumper on the front of it, and it's no longer here, so I imagine it got wrecked. But whatever, I'm not gonna worry about that too much, because unless it don't drive straight. If it's driving funky because of that, then maybe I'll try to do something about it. That down there, that's where the tie rods hook up to, and the right hand side ear is bent down. So somebody probably hit something with this tire and it bent that, so that's not good. By the way, this is a 1991 Yamaha Blaster. Guy said it was a 94, but I checked the VIN number or whatever that's stamped in the side of the frame by the gear shifter, and decoded it, and it's actually a 91. Let's see here, what else? Needs new This roller right here for the chain looks pretty chewed up, so I'll probably get a new one of those. It's got a lot of slop in it. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that. Probably not. Good news is it seems like the gear shifters work, and I checked. It feels like it has most of its gears, or all of its gears, so I think that's good. But I guess we'll see once it's running again. This was the coil wire. It's a bit of speaker wire. So that's not good. Probably need a new coil because it doesn't look like you can just change the wire by itself. Let's see here. The seat's actually in not bad shape, so that's a plus. Doesn't have an air filter, so somebody's been running this without a filter. The rear plastic's all the plastic's pretty much ruined, but this back fender's the worst. It's got cracks in it. Looks like somebody actually cut that themselves for some reason. Front fenders aren't bad though. But somebody did take all this stuff off, and instead of putting the bolts back in for whatever reason, they just zip tied everything. So that's, you know, not ideal. But so it's pretty rough, you know. It's definitely a project. My handlebars are bent. Handlebars are bent. You can see the left side's down. You know, I do have a key for it, but I assume that the ignition don't work because somebody's gone ahead and chopped into all the wires and done that. So that's not good. Who uses wire nuts for stuff like this? But so that's about it. You know, other than that, it's not much to it. So I'm gonna get it fixed up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take that engine out and set it on my table. I gotta get a few specialty tools, apparently, like a puller for the flywheel and a thing to split the case. I've never split a case before, and I don't know much about four-wheelers, but imagine we'll get it accomplished. This looks pretty simple. So when the engine's out, I'm going to take all the plastics off, and then I'm going to go ahead and probably repaint the frame a little bit. It's got multiple colors on it. Somebody painted red, and somebody wanted to paint it blue again. It's supposed to be blue. And the paint's not sticking. So while I got the plastics off, I'm gonna have to try to strip off as much of this paint as I can because it's all chipping. So if you try to paint over that, it's gonna look horrendous, and it's gonna continue chipping. So I'm gonna have to get all that old paint off. Same with the back, although it looks like the paint held up a little better back here, but I'm just thinking about maybe get some plastic epoxy and trying to glue some of these cracks back together, because I know to actually replace the plastics on these is really expensive, and you know, I don't care that much. It's cheap. Try to make it look a little better. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what I can do with some glue. Oh, look at that. So this back fender's been originally blue, then looks like somebody painted it orange, and then black, and then red. So it's been many different colors. So I gotta undo all these wire nuts to get the well, those aren't wire nuts, those are crimps. Well, I gotta pull all these apart. It looks like though all the colors of the wires match up, so it should be easy enough to crimp these back together, or maybe use like you get some of those like blade connectors or something like that, so if you had to take the engine out again, you could just unplug it instead of, you know, I'm gonna cut and then recrimp the wires, because I think it was supposed to have a plug on there originally. I want to drop the whole swing arm out of it, because that one bolt that goes through the back of the engine also holds the swing arm on. And if I'm going to be painting this thing up, I figured I might as well just, you know, take off the entire swing arm. So the only thing attaching it really is the shock and this brake line. Now, more than likely, you're going to have to replace these little crush washers. They're kind of a one-time use thing, but whatever. Brakes don't work really back here anyway, so you need some addressing. So I ended up taking the bodywork off the back to make it easier to get at that bolt there. I'm trying to get this swing arm completely disconnected, so when I pull out this one big bolt right here that goes through the engine block and the swing arm, I'll take the engine out and the swing arm will drop out from under it. Put a couple of jack stands underneath where your feet go, and I put a jack stand back here so it don't just fall down, and I get back to it. Alright, got that out of the way. I'm just going to throw since this might be apart for a while, just keep this here for the time being, so don't forget where it goes or lose it. Alright, so the swing arm should be virtually disconnected aside from that one big bolt. So now I just got to take out that big bolt. It's supposed to have a bolt underneath here, another engine mount, but I see that's missing. And then there's one in the front right there, and then this engine will come out, but I have to clear off some space on my table over there so this thing can have a new home for a little while. Alright, let's drain the oil out of the transmission. Well, the oil's straight up gray, which means it's got water in it. Look at that. Oh, brother. Makes for very interesting artwork. Alright, got this guy on the table. It's really small, you know. Apparently this makes 17 horsepower and tiny little engine. But I think you might be able to see a little better if I can get in there and show you the damage. Let's see here. See where that bearings come apart in there, and it looks like it's been hitting the rod's actually been hitting against the bottom of the case. I imagine the crank spins around okay though, so I'm hoping maybe I get lucky. See if I can get a shot down in there maybe. You can see where it's been kind of swiping at the bottom of the case, which is where it was getting stuck. Another thing with this case is it's got a, looks like somebody's been hitting on it with a hammer right there. And it's cracked, but I'm hoping that's just, this is still part of the housing for the stator and stuff, and it's not actually a part of like the crank case. Because then it would be like losing pressure, leaking oil out of there. And so I'm just gonna hopefully put some JB Weld on that and it'll all be fine. You can see how much oil is on the frame here, and on that it should be gray, and it's all black and oily. So obviously throw some new seals in it. And hopefully the transmission's all right after having that like watery oil in it. But you know, I ordered some special tools. They'll be getting here in a few days, so I can start pulling the engine apart. So I guess that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching.